Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and I'd begin with the invocation by Reverend John Poole from the Kingman Praise Chapel, and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Supervisor Stephen Moss.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you today and we open this meeting by inviting your presence into this room. We pray today that you would give our leaders wisdom and guidance upon them. And Father, we give you the glory for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the Board of Supervisors may by motion recess into executive session to receive legal advice from the board's attorney on any item contained in this agenda pursuant to ARS 38-431-03A3 and 4. At this time, I'll entertain a motion and action to call for an executive session to be held October the 3rd, 2016 at 9 a.m. for discussion and consultation with legal counsel in accordance with ARS 38-431-03, A3 and 4 to discuss items noticed on the agenda with an asterisk.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Motion passes. Going on to the official business to come before the board this morning. Item number 1, discussion pending or contemplated legal claims and demands. I think we took care of that in executive session just now. So we'll go on to the committee and/or legislative reports, beginning with Supervisor Johnson. Do you have anything?
Nothing, Madam Chair.
And Supervisor Watson?
Not this morning.
Supervisor Moss?
Nothing this morning, thank you.
And Supervisor Angus?
Nothing this morning, Madam Chair.
Okay, do we have a county administrator's report?
Nothing today, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, I'll call for approval of the August 1st and August 15th, 2016 Board of Supervisors meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we'll go on now to the call to the public. Those wishing to address the call to the board to the call to the public regarding matters not on the board agenda must fill out and submit to the clerk a call to the public. Action taken as a result of public comments will be limited to responding to criticism, referral to staff, or placing a matter on a future agenda. Comments are restricted to items not on the regular agenda with the exception of the consent agenda and must relate to matters within the jurisdiction of the board. I have one person that has signed up this morning to speak, and I'll now call Kathleen Mischler to the podium. If you give us your name and address, you have 3 minutes to tell us what's on your mind.
Good morning. Kathleen Mischler, 5485 North Laguna in Golden Valley, Arizona. It's no secret that I have opposed the Legend Ranch Road project, and I know for a fact that there are taxpayers, citizens in Golden Valley, that are part of the fire district, paying the maximum amount of tax allowed by law for fire protection, that should have better access for fire and emergency response from the roads. When that road was approved by the board, my understanding was there would be no engineering, no culverts. It would be like paving Roosevelt, Laguna, or Estrella. There's been multiple videos on social media showing culverts. There's been rumors of the funds being spent and nowhere near done on the project. I would ask that Supervisor Bishop place this on the agenda for the next meeting, just to clear it up so that people get the true facts of what's going on, because we're all kind of confused out here. Thank you.
Okay, there are no other speakers to the call to the public, so I'll now close the call to the public. And we'll go on now to proclamations. I have a proclamation declaring the month of October 2016 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Mohave County. I'll take the liberty of reading the proclamation to the audience. Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas in the United States, an average of 20 people are physically abused by inmate partners every minute. This equates to more than 10 million abuse victims annually. And whereas domestic violence is prevalent in every community and affects all people regardless of age, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, gender, race, religion, or nationality. And whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity. And whereas the impact of domestic violence is widespread, affecting the moral fabric of society as a whole. Now therefore, we, the Mohave County Board of Supervisors, do hereby proclaim October 2016 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And along with the Mohave County Attorney Victim Witness Program, urge all citizens to actively participate in the scheduled activities and programs in the state of Arizona to work toward the elimination of violence in the home. This will be signed by all of the members of the Board of Supervisors. Okay, we'll now have a couple presentations. The first presentation will be to the board by Patty Mead, the Public Health Director, regarding the Mohave County Department of Public Health Service being awarded the national accreditation by the Public Health Accreditation Board. And I believe that Mr. Hendricks has a few words he'd like to say before we hear from Ms. Patty Mead.
I'll reserve mine, Madam Chairman, if I may, until after she speaks.
Okay, that's quite the gentleman. All right.
Madam
Ms. Mead,
Chair and
thank you,
members
good
of the
morning.
board, I am so proud today to announce that Mohave County Department of Public Health has achieved national accreditation through the Public Health Accreditation Board. Out of 3,000 public health departments nationwide, we are one of fewer than 150 public health departments that have received this award of excellence. What does it mean for us and for our community? Dr. Tom Frieden, the Director of the Centers for Disease Control, provides the answer.
State, tribal, local, and territorial health departments are where the rubber hits the road in public health. That's why, on behalf of CDC, I'm honored to congratulate your health department on achieving national accreditation by the Public Health Accreditation Board. Your participation in this program demonstrates your commitment to excellent performance and continuous improvement. At CDC, we've supported the accreditation process since its inception. Agency-wide, we want to see how we can best support the accreditation process and health departments at all levels of government to take the important step of becoming accredited. When we first advanced the concept of accreditation, we weren't sure what the end result would be, but we thought that national accreditation could improve public health practice. Evaluation findings suggest that accreditation improves collaboration, accountability, and transparency, that it prompts increased knowledge of data and health issues, strengthens policies and processes, and most importantly, helps health departments use data to improve performance and do the right things and do things right. Accreditation doesn't just improve performance, it can also raise awareness and visibility of health departments and the role they play in protecting people 24/7. And while events such as Ebola, Hurricane Katrina, and H1N1 put a spotlight on public health, we hope that people will be aware of the value of public health in their lives and in their communities every day. Our health departments play critical roles on the front lines. Just as people wouldn't want their kids to go to a college that isn't accredited or a hospital that doesn't meet certain standards, someday we expect that everyone will have similar expectations of their health department. Becoming accredited is an impressive achievement. We join the Public Health Accreditation Board recognizing the effort that staff members and leaders spent in achieving this milestone. We remain committed to working with you for further progress. Congratulations, and we look forward to partnering with you to further improve the public's health.
We have spent over 2 years demonstrating that the work we do every day conforms to the 97 measures required by the Public Health Accreditation Board. This ensures that we provide the 10 essential services of public health. Thousands of documents were reviewed and submitted by our staff and were then reviewed by the FAB-trained public health professionals. A 2-day site visit was conducted by these same professionals to assure that we indeed practice what we submitted in documentation. It's been a grueling and exhausting process for this team behind me. They are truly a most amazing team. Hardworking and committed, they persevered through all kinds of obstacles. I couldn't be more proud of their commitment to excellence and to our community. Sometimes there are just no words to describe the feelings of appreciation and gratefulness that need to be expressed for a job so very well done. Good job. Although this was a department-wide effort and every single individual contributed to this success, I would like to mention a few specifically. To the Board of Supervisors and the Board of Health for your support. To Mike for your encouragement. To Ken Cunningham and Coral Lloyd for your help with documentation and participation in the site visit. To Terry Williams from KRMC for her gracious spirit and unending energy to help improve the health of our communities. To Susan Williams for her true talent in leading community partnerships and collaborations that really do make a difference in improving health. To Annie Meredith for her willingness every day to do what was needed again and with a smile. To Jeannie Bowen for inspiring all of us to make it over the finish line. And to Jennifer McNally for doing all the documentation submission in a most perfect manner. The Mohave County Department of Public Health has always been committed to excellence in providing services to our public. And now we can assure them that we are indeed. Never doubt that a small group of people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. A huge congratulations to my team, the Mohave County Department of Public Health.
Mr. Hendricks.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. What a great day. And I want to specifically thank the board and appreciate your very strong support that you provided to our Mohave County Public Health to pursue achieving national accreditation. That was incredible support, and without you all, they couldn't have accomplished it. And I also want to thank you for your participation in the review process and the nice comments and really spot-on comments that you all provided to the accreditation board that helped them get through the finish line. Just to reiterate, the accreditation process is a self-motivated approach to improving an organization. It benchmarks the organization against all the best policies, practices, and procedures throughout the country. Accreditation is also, as stated, a commitment for continuous improvement through reaccreditation. I don't need to remind the board that Public Works Director Steve Letowski and his team have embraced national accreditation process along with Development Services Director and his team. And now our Mohave County Public Health Director, Patty Mead, and her wonderful staff of county and senior nutrition, public nursing, and environmental health, all pulling together to achieve this incredibly difficult task of national accreditation. And I wanted to make this point specifically, that these efforts, along with the numerous awards, certifications, and achievements received by our other departments and divisions, showcase the quality of our employees and provide Mohave County's commitment to excellence in county government. And I ask the board to join with me and stand and give the public health a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Excellent job. Thanks.
I would also like to invite the Public Health Department to come up front for a photo op, and I'd like all of the Board of Supervisors to join us and staff.
Around this way, I go around this way.
That's quiet in here.
Yeah. Back to work, folks, back to work.
I'm going to go ahead and pull that and let him speak. I'm going to go ahead and pull this item and let the mayor have it speak. Just want to let you know that unless you want to pull it.
No, let them speak.
Okay. Right. We had a large audience, but I see they've left the building. So that was an amazing show of Mohave County Excellent, and I can't wait to see the photographs and tell them congratulations personally later on. But now we're going to continue. We have a PowerPoint presentation regarding the Arizona Association of County Officials, and
Jen Marsden.
we'll welcome Jen Marsden to the podium. Good morning, Jen.
Good
Jen's
morning.
from the ACO Association, and will be giving us the PowerPoint.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
I'm going to try and go quickly. I know your agenda is packed, and you will have the presentation, of course, so if you needed to go through it at a more leisurely pace, you certainly could. So I'm just going to get right into it. So the Arizona Association of Counties, every year, we visit all of the counties kind of to give you an annual review of your association, because it is, in fact, your association. So we were founded in 1968. We're the only statewide association that represents all of Arizona's county elected officials and the governments that they serve. We actually have two sort of branches of our association. ACO, the Arizona Association of Counties, is the 501c6 that allows us to do the legislative advocacy work that we do with our state capital and back in DC. And then our ACO Foundation is the true nonprofit, the 501c3. We're led by a volunteer board of directors. We have one representative from every county, one representative from every county elected office, and 5 officers that are elected by the membership. So your current officers for ACO are Manny Ruiz, he's our president, and he's a Santa Cruz County Supervisor. Paul Peterson is a Maricopa County Assessor, and he's our first vice president. Kathy Treywick is a Cochise County Treasurer, second VP. Robin Poquette, third vice president, Yuma County Recorder. And Brad Carlion is our immediate past president. He's the Navajo County Attorney. On our board, Mohave is represented by the Honorable Gary Watson. He's the Mohave County representative on our board of directors. And our staff. We're a small staff. We do a lot of good work, but we are only a staff of 5. Myself is the executive director. Sue Anderson is our finance manager. Trey Williams and Megan Kintner, 2 of our senior legislative associates. And then with me today is Gideon Wagner. He's our newest employee, and he's our communication and education manager. So just a quick review. So last fiscal year, we hosted 23 educational webinars, 2 conferences. We did 9 customized research projects and 31 in-county meetings. Our research number is a little low this year, and that's because we had a staff change. We had someone who was with us for only a short time, then we allowed that position to remain vacant a while before we filled it. So that number should be higher in years moving forward. And with the thousands of requests that we get every year, whether it's from you all, at the legislature, regular citizens who have questions about county government, our average fulfillment time remains only a day. With a staff of 5, I continue to be impressed by that number in terms of customer service. FY16 outcomes, some general outcomes for you. Advocacy is one of the biggest components of the things that we do. We tracked nearly 700 bills this legislative session and had active positions through our Legislative Policy Committee on 74 pieces of legislation. We continue to advocate for some of the cost-saving programs available to Arizona's counties, whether that's deferred compensation or cooperative purchasing. Participation in those programs grew in FY16 as well. And we've really stepped up our social media game. Our social media footprint has dramatically increased. It's gone up 64% from 18 months ago. So we're really trying to make sure that we're not only talking about the good work that the association is doing, but the good work that all of Arizona's counties are doing on social media to kind of spread the county story around the state and the country, quite frankly. I'm going to go through advocacy very quickly. If there are questions, please don't hesitate to stop and ask, but I don't want to droll on about the advocacy because many of you have heard all of this before. Those are just some general session statistics. I won't go through them necessarily. Some dominant themes this session: pension reform, unfortunately, the oversight of local governments, which we always struggle with. Firearms played a big role, as did campaign finance reform in the 2016 legislative session. In terms of our county government platform, these are priorities that our board decides are important for our association to advocate for. We always, in addition to individual bills, have specific policy priorities that the board identifies. This past year, there were recovering cost shifts, especially HERF funds, preserving local control, and of course, we always oppose new state cost shifts and any kind of reductions to county revenue. In terms of our specific bills, we had 6 bills with which we were successful. I won't go through them in detail, but these are the subject areas that they encompassed: small tax balance delinquency dates, taxing district boundary modifications, securities for our jails, registered warrant cleanup for our treasurers, audits for county school superintendents, and the way that the Department of Corrections discharges ICE folks. We changed that procedure for them as well. We did have 4 that we were unsuccessful with: property tax cleanup, salary adjustments, tax lien subdividers, and countywide vote by mail. So if you just look at these bills, we had about a 60% success rate, which is okay. It's not fantastic, but I do want to make sure everyone knows a lot of our advocacy is defensive, right? There's all kinds of entities out there that have what they think are great ideas for local governments, and sometimes our job is to convince people that maybe those aren't such great ideas. So in terms of our defensive work, these are some of the bills we helped defeat. There was a bill that would have moved certain properties from Class 3 to 6. That would have reduced the net assessed value statewide by $100 million. That's a huge impact for counties. A bill that would have placed an arbitrary $500/10 parcel cap on properties. At this point, it was specific to Pinal County, but this is the kind of legislation that if it had been successful, certainly could have morphed into other counties as well. So that saved Pinal County $146,000. A bill that would have removed the ability for the Board of Supervisors to cancel precinct committee elections if there was a write-in candidate, but they were still less than the number of positions to be filled. Your ability to cancel those elections saves your counties considerable dollars in terms of the cost of printing the ballot and et cetera. So we wanted to make sure that didn't move forward. Just in Maricopa alone, that's $30,000 in savings. A bill would have removed the abilities for counties and cities to charge transaction fees to pawnbrokers, and then another bill that would have shifted all of the sheriff's responsibilities currently associated with pawnbrokers over to DPS. That's one that really didn't make sense to us because sheriffs are the ones who work with those businesses on a day-to-day basis. To have a state agency somehow be responsible for all of those records just didn't make sense to us. A bill that would have removed, that would have moved for-profit universities from Class 1 to Class 6. So that's an LPV, a limited property value reduction of $57 million. Again, that was Maricopa County specific at the time, but depending on how those universities define themselves moving forward, that could have impacted a lot of our other counties as well. And then a bill that would have capped the inmate medical reimbursement rates. And in Mohave County alone, that would have cost you an additional $1 million. So we were successful in making sure that that didn't become law. So you can see a lot of our legislative success is defensive, not just offensive. I want to talk about some of the other things that ACO provides for counties through our relationship with the National Association of Counties. Hopefully you're all familiar with the Deferred Compensation Program. That's the nationwide 457 plan. Arizona currently has just over $14 million in assets, and there are 453 participants as of the end of June. So Arizona is a very robust state in terms of participation in that program. Live Healthy U.S. Counties, I'm pleased to say that Mohave County is a full participant in the full suite of programs offered through Live Healthy U.S. Counties. You have the prescription drug discount card that is free to all county residents. You do not have to be a county employee to take advantage of this program and help buy down the costs of your prescriptions. So last year, residents saved $8,400 by getting their prescriptions using the prescription drug discount card. The dental program, you have 122 providers in Mohave County that participate in this program. There is a bit of a fee to participate, but again, it's open to all county residents. You don't have to be a county employee, and the same for medical services, and it's a variety of different services: LASIK, vision, hearing, that kinds of things. Same fees as the dental program. Cooperative purchasing is a big one. U.S. Communities is the company that provides this cooperative purchasing power to Arizona's counties, and it's not just counties, actually. Cities, school districts, all kinds of different entities can buy off the contract. The great thing about U.S. Communities is all of the products on there have already been competitively bid, gone through the procurement process through their purchaser of origin, I think is what they call it. And there's all kinds of different products and services. So whatever your department is, whatever your department may need, there's a chance it's available through U.S. Communities. One of the things I'm really trying to demonstrate to our county sheriffs is there's a new product in U.S. Communities that has to do with medication for people who have hepatitis. Hep C medication can be prohibitively expensive for some of our counties, and U.S. Communities has recently acquired a new product that buys down that cost to about 40%. So that's a huge savings. So if you have Hep C people in your jails, and you do, all of our jails do, take a look at that. That's a good way you can save some money. Mohave has consistently been saving between $6,000 and $10,000 a year by purchasing things through the U.S. Communities contract, so that's great for your county. ACO also provides our county job board. Gideon's actually responsible for that, and we post jobs for free. We've had lots of counties tell us, we know we had some really good candidates and they heard about the job on our county job board, so we're happy to do that. It's free to you guys. Just send Gideon an email and we're happy to post those for you. If you are politically inclined and you want to subscribe to the Arizona Capital Times, if you do it through us, it's $80. If you just go through Cap Times, it's $169. So we'll save you a little bit of money if you do it through us. And that's kind of the premier political newspaper in Arizona. Obviously, we do a variety of different webinars every year, whether that's legislative training or just general leadership training. Those are all free, of course, to all of our ACO members. We do research services. Sometimes this is research that you guys need in county, but you just don't have the staff to do it. That's what we are there for, to be that extra staff person for you. Sometimes it's research that we're doing on behalf of the legislature that has a county question that we're trying to answer. We also do every year the salary and benefit survey. Gideon's currently working with all of the county HR departments to put that together. It's a really great tool to compare county to county in a variety of different job classifications. So when you have those questions about what other counties are paying for XYZ position, don't reinvent the wheel. We do that for you every year. We already have that. It's free to you. Just ask us. It's actually on our website, so you can go get it without even asking us. The Arizona Government Directory is what it sounds like. It's a directory of all the county and city contact information in the state. We put that together and we give that to counties for free as well. We do charge the general public for that. We are partnered now with the Certified Public Manager Program with ASU. It's a really great program for folks in county government who are looking to sort of get accreditation, if you will, very similar to their last presentation, associated with public service. What we have done is tried to get ASU to move that program around the state instead of forcing counties to have to pay travel and per diem to get people to Phoenix or to Tempe to take the classes there. So this year, there were enough people in the northeastern region of the state to warrant a class, and ACO paid for the instructors to travel to Holbrook to offer the class so that the people of the county or the city or the school who were sending didn't have to incur those costs. So ACO paid for the travel for the instructors and their per diem as well. So that was a way for us to help those counties get that education. We're happy to do that in other parts of the state as well. So if you have a cohort of folks who are interested, let us know and we can work that out with ASU. Arizona Counties Matter are these flyers that we put together. We've found over the years that infographics often work better than pages and pages of bullet points to read. So we found a pictorial way to demonstrate some, not all, but some of the services that counties offer. We can make these specific to your county. I know Navajo County used their specific Navajo County Matters flyer, and they put them in their payroll. They had them on their desks at some of the county offices so that when the general public came in, they could kind of pick them up and just get a quick visual representation of some of the great work that counties do. Moving forward, looking forward, we are still talking about doing an association magazine. Not something that we would charge you to subscribe to at all, but something that we would just be able to put out for the general public, again, to kind of tell that county story in a different way. A lot of people don't know what counties do. They know what cities do, or they think they know what cities do, and they know what the state does, but a lot of that actually the county does, and so we need to do a better job of telling our story. We have our Summit Awards every year. The application process is open right now. There are a variety of different categories, whether it's elections, education, general public service, and we ask counties to apply for the awards because I think it kills two birds with one stone. If you're doing something great in your county or in a department in your county, it lets other counties steal from you. So they're not starting from scratch to reinvent this really great project. But also, it's a great way to demonstrate to your constituents the great work that your county is doing or that this department in your county is doing. So we encourage people to apply for the Summit Awards. I believe the deadline is October the 3rd, so just a couple more weeks to get those applications in. The Summit Awards are awarded at our annual conference, which is December 1st and 2nd at the Carefree Conference Center this year. That's coming up. We will be trying to include expanded professional development as our conferences move forward so that if you're a county attorney and you need CLE credits, you're not only getting the leadership training that we provide, but you're also getting the CLE credit, and so you're killing two birds with one stone. And we're working on grant opportunities to provide to our counties or departments within the counties, not because ACO is interested in an admin fee. That's not what it's about, and I don't think we would have any desire to take that. But if we can help you guys get some grant money and buy down the cost of general fund dollars that you need to expend to run your county, we're happy to do that. And then these are some of my favorite pet projects coming up. We are about a third of the way through our county dashboard project. If you are familiar with NACO's County Explorer, what we're doing is building an interactive web portal of Arizona, and we have a variety of different categories, property tax, elections, criminal justice, et cetera. Within those categories, we have a variety of different data sets, between 6 and 12 per category at this point. It's the kind of questions we get asked every year by the legislature, by the media, by members of the public. How many beds does your jail have? How many early ballots did you send out? What was your property tax rate? So we are going to build this portal, this county dashboard that has all of that data for all of Arizona's counties on it. So anyone who has those questions can just go into the portal, pick their indicator, and see all of the county's data pop up right there. This does not mean necessarily that we will be polling your individual offices or departments constantly for data. There's lots of places out there where you guys are already sending that information. We're going to get it from those sources so that we're not bothering you, so you can keep doing your jobs, but we can be that kind of robust one-stop shop for all things associated with counties. So I hope to have the dashboard up and running by February. We're working with the software developers right now. We can do the data in-house. I am not a web builder, and neither is anyone else on my staff, so we have to contract that out. But I'm very excited about that. And then the last thing I think I want to mention to you is our Next Generation ACO program, which is our scholarship program. I'm finally ready to go with it. If you've heard about it in years past, we would like to offer $2,000 a year for 5 students a year for 4 years of their undergrad education. I picked $2,000 because I was a single mom when I started college, and $2,000 would have been life-changing money for me. I started at a community college, and that would have made a huge difference. We picked 5 because I don't want the whole state to be competing against each other, so we're doing them regionally, north, south, east, west, and central. So when we're fully up and running and we have 4 years worth of students receiving scholarships, that's $40,000 out the door every year. We're going to need between $1.5 and $2 million of an endowment in order to get that rolling, so that we're only spending the interest and that principal endowment remains intact forever, so we'll be able to provide these scholarships forever. The goal is to reach out to students who are interested in public service, and it doesn't have to be elected public service. As I've done these county visits, I've been with ACO for 14 years, I hear from a lot of people who say, I love living in Mohave County. What kind of job would afford me to continue to live here and support my family as I get older? And the county is one of those great jobs. So for students who are interested in public service, that's the kind of students we'd like to reach with our scholarship program. I've done all my legal, have all my legal ducks in a row, my accountant ducks in a row, and right now I'm just finishing up the marketing materials for that program, and we should be able to solicit donations starting in November. Please know, we are not asking the counties to donate to the endowment fund. That's not what this is about. We will solicit private donations until we reach our goal, and then we will move forward with handing out the scholarships. So that's about it. Please follow us on Twitter if you're not already. We have about 1,200 followers, which is, it's not Kardashian level followers, but for a state association of counties, it's pretty good. Like us on Facebook, and please let me know, or any member of my team know, how we can be helpful for you. And I'm happy to answer questions, Madam Chair, if there are any.
Okay, thank you very much, Jen. That was a very good presentation, and I'm happy to see all these new programs coming. So, do any of the supervisors have any comments or questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
If you can look into the future a little bit, the state still hasn't balanced their budget, and they're still taking money from the cities and the counties. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing that the state is now looking to raise their rents on their own employees to the tune, I think, of millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. Have you heard anything about the counties and the cities going to be having to shoulder this burden of money again?
Madam Chair, Supervisor Johnson, no, I have not heard that. I do have a little more positive outlook in the leadership that we're going to have in the House. Representative Mesnard, who for all intents and purposes is going to be the next Speaker of the House, tends to be more local government friendly than we've seen from the previous couple of speakers. So that makes me feel a little bit better. He and Senator Yarborough, who will be the Senate president, are from the same district, which I don't think has happened since maybe Tobin Pierce. But they, not on everything, but they have both said to us privately that, it's time to start making some of those shifts come back, though I think we need to be prepared. Even though the shifts in many cases were given to us all at once, they're not going to come back all at once. They're going to come back slowly. That's just the nature of this game. But I haven't heard anything about asking local government, cities or counties, to pick up the building tab.
And I guess we'll follow up with that. Do you think, because they've been promising that 2017 will be the year they finally balance the budget according to the Constitution, do you think with this requirement of the departments to shoulder more of the rents, that's going to put that back farther to 18 or 19?
Madam Chair, Supervisor Johnson, I don't know. I think your and my, perhaps, definition of a balanced budget is different than what some folks at the legislature consider balanced. I think they can do it in 17. I do.
That's all I had. Thank you.
And may I just, part of that is going to depend on what happens with marijuana, right? Because if marijuana passes on the ballot, in theory, they do their budgets 3 years in advance, in theory, right? They put on paper 3 years worth of budgets. If recreational marijuana passes and they factor in the kind of money that the initiative says will go to schools, well, that has a huge impact on the state budget, because right now, an enormous portion of the budget goes to public education. So if that is bought down to some degree by an initiative passing on the ballot, that has a huge impact, and then thus a rolling impact on every other subject area of the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we'll go on to the consent agenda. The following items listed under the consent agenda will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion of said items, unless a board member so requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion and action. So I'll begin with Supervisor Johnson. Do you have anything you would like removed?
33, Madam.
Okay, Supervisor Watson?
Number 10.
Supervisor Moss? Supervisor Angus? And I will remove items number 20 and 32. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve items 5 through 36 minus items number 10, 20, 32, and 33.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we'll go down to item number 10, setting as the Board of Directors for the Mohave County Flood Control District approve the purchase of .07 acres of undeveloped land within parcel 11006-100 from Carol Richardson for $4,900 to enable the Flood Control District to perform proper maintenance of the recently completed Horizon 6 channel facilities, with funds coming from money budgeted by the Mohave County Flood Control District.
Motion for discussion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second for discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Supervisor Watson, the floor is yours.
If we could have a representative from the Flood Control District, I'd like to ask a few questions. Good morning, Mr. Hunt.
Good morning, sir.
My question is this .07 acres, this parcel, has it, where did we arrive at the $4,900?
Well, there was an official appraisal done on the property, and that was the established price.
Okay. Basically, that was my only question. That seems to be an awfully high dollar amount for .07 acres. $1.55 a square foot seems to be a little high, but we have an appraisal for that?
Yes, sir. Madam Chair and Supervisor Watson, may I give you a little background on that?
Please.
When the county built the Horizon 6 channel, the county bought quite a bit of property, I think 11 properties roughly, and spent $1 million. And at that time, we wanted to propose to buy that little portion of the parcel for maintenance, because there's a side channel, a tributary is coming into the channel that we built. And that time the property owner refused to sell. And then since then there was a major flood, and then her property got damaged. So we told her the only way we could maintain it kind of on the edge of the channel is that if we get an easement. So she gave us an easement. Actually, we already have a drainage easement on that little piece of property, and we can maintain it. Basically, there's a fence on it, and then we have some concrete blocks to kind of channel the flow. And then she indicated she'd be willing to sell it, so we thought it would be more beneficial to maintain the channel altogether to actually purchase that little piece of property, and then an official appraisal was prepared for that cost.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. That's the only questions I have. And I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve. It's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Going on to item number 20, adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution number 2016-117, abandoning that portion of Bison Avenue as dedicated in Book 1488, page 874, Book 1493, page 963, and I'll skip the rest of the legal description, and further approve the abandonment to be processed and the rights-of-way purchased per ARS Title 28, Chapter 20, Article 8 at no cost to Mohave County, located in Fort Mohave, District 5, Mohave County. I pulled this item because I received a request from a Mr. Lawrence Brody requesting a 120-day period for a response to allow him to get further information, make appointments, and possibly talk to consultants about the pros and cons of the abandonment. Plus, I have a gentleman that signed up to speak on the item, a Mr. James Lambert, who'd like to address the board. So, Mr. Lambert, if you could come on down and give us your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay, my name is James Lambert. I'm owner of, address is 5196 South Antelope Drive, Fort Mohave. I am the owner of Corrigan Navigational Strategies, which is the owner of the airport. The road was originally dedicated in exchange for the airport's ability to sell fuel on there, and he developed a portion of that and paved it, which is now county-owned and technically maintained, although no maintenance has ever been done on it other than sweeping the dirt off. Pre-existing to that dedication, there's an easement from the northeast property for access to the airport by the Nottinghams so that they could get their airplane onto the runway, made with the airport owners in exchange for work they had done. The main purpose of the abandonment is to recombine the southern two properties for a mutual development of an airport access community. The other properties to the north in Nottingham and the one you mentioned, Mr. Brody, never dedicated their half of the 82-foot or 84-foot easement. So the only portion there is the 42 feet given up by the airport, whereas on the southern parcels, both properties gave up their 42 feet because they were originally owned by the same owner.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the board members have any questions of Mr. Lambert? Okay.
I do.
Supervisor Moss.
Hi, Mr. Lambert. I have two questions. First, I take it you're in favor of item 20?
I am.
And
I believe Nottingham's have already sent their letter in, but I also have a notarized letter stating that they are in favor of it as well.
Correct. And as I summarize this in my own mind, this is to allow better maintenance of the roads in that particular area because they're not particularly being maintained right now?
They're not being, and it would be that I would have to maintain that portion of the road, yes,
Right.
and the access to it, yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, Supervisor Johnson.
Yes, I have a question, I think of Mr. Letowski, I'm guessing. On this, did we notify the people in the immediate area?
Yes, Madam Chair, Supervisor Johnson, per state statute 286701C, which was adhered to with the processing of this abandonment request, and Mr. Lambert is the abandonment applicant, we were required to notify 5 abutting property owners. 2 property owners did express opposition to the action. However, the majority, 3 property owners, did express no objection or approval to the action. So as per that majority, that is why staff is bringing this item to the board for their consideration.
And this person that the chairman read a letter from, did that person file an objection or anything?
I believe we have received correspondence from the Brody and Ostrin Trust. That is correct, yes.
Okay, but they had their chance to file their complaint and everything, it's like they weren't not notified?
That is correct, and they did file an opposition to the action.
Thank you, Mr. Letowski, that's all I had.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve item 20 of the agenda, adopting Board of Supervisor Resolution number 2016-117.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion does pass. Going on to item number 32. Authorize the Mohave County Development Services Department to coordinate an engineering review by Wilton Engineering, a professional engineering consultant under contract with the county, of our proposed platable lots or roads within the incorporated town of Colorado City at a total project cost of $6,500, of which $6,000 will cover the fees of the Weldon Engineering and $500 will cover the cost of the county for coordinating the review. The county will be reimbursed the total project cost by the United Effort Plan Trust. So I do have 3 people that have signed up to speak in opposition of this item. And alphabetically, I'll call up Mayor Joseph Allred from Colorado City. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. If you could give us your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm Joseph Allred. I'm the mayor of Colorado City, 25 South Central, Colorado City, Arizona. I do have a letter for the board, which I would like to give to the clerk, if that's okay.
Sure.
The town of Colorado City has been in, excuse me, somewhat of a disagreement with the UEP Trust regarding the subdivision of land in Colorado City, wherein the trust has claimed that it is exempt from following Colorado City's subdivision ordinance, and they're seeking to subdivide land without proper infrastructure in place, and some of the areas that they're proposing to subdivide don't have adequate stormwater drainage, don't have adequate improved roads. Some roads don't have any surface other than dirt. And this proposal to have Mohave County have their plats reviewed is simply an effort for them to do an end run around Colorado City's subdivision ordinance. And I believe for the county to facilitate this is really an overstep of big government into the affairs and authority of local government. Colorado City has not been approached regarding this review at all, and that's the reason why I handed a letter to you today. It's because I just got word of this a couple of days ago in seeing the item on the agenda. So there's been no dialogue with the town regarding this. And there is an item in Mohave County Court under Judge Kahn right now that should clear this matter up, and we would just ask the board to table this until Judge Kahn can rule on that, over that contest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is David Darger, also from Colorado City. If you could give us your name and address for the record, you have 3 minutes.
Morning, Honorable Chair and Supervisors. My name is David Darger. I'm the town manager in Colorado City. And I would just like to highlight a few items that I think are important to bring to your attention. Number one, this issue of this developer is all about money, not wanting to pay costs associated with subdividing. There's a discussion before you about some proposed subdivision plats, and I would ask what plats. The town hasn't seen any of those plats that they're proposing to present to Mohave County. And instead of making an application to the town of Colorado City or making an application for exceptions, there's an assertion of an exemption from the Colorado City subdivision ordinance. We even have a quote from the subdivider demanding an exception from any reviews, analysis, report, or hearings, which in essence is contrary to state law. I would compare this to Centennial Park, which is an area south of Colorado City in the unincorporated portion of Mohave County. It began and developed homes, schools, streets, businesses, churches. Years later, they decided to subdivide. Took them many years, a lot of money. Maybe Carl Taylor or someone could talk on that. Phase one, I think, it was broke up into phases because it was a big enough project to take all in one bite. I think phase one was approved in 2000 and phase two in 2012. And so there may be other phases under review right now. So this proposal should be considered in that same light as you would any other Mohave County, and recognize the jurisdiction of the town. The county should be neutral between a subdivider in Colorado City and the town, and not advance this attempt of a subdivider to undermine that role of law and order. It just doesn't make sense for the county to get entangled in this issue where the subdivider could contract directly with Wildan if they so chose to do so. I'm surprised that it's even on the County Board of Supervisors agenda. Like was mentioned, this issue has been taken by Colorado City to the Mohave County Court, and we would just request you to table this and let that court take its course.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Dale Miller. Mr. Miller, if you'd give us your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Chair Bishop, members of the Board of Supervisors, my name is Dale Miller. I'm a Arizona registered professional engineer, Phoenix, Arizona. I'm here today to speak.
Excuse me, we need your address for the record, please.
6150 North 16th Street, Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you. Here today to talk about the issue at hand, I'd like to just read a couple of phrases from Jeff Barlow's email to Nick Hunt regarding this issue. He says this is their attempt to subdivide the homes in the town of Colorado City. He further states that he wants Mohave County to review the subdivision plats that have been prepared. Supervisor Watson states in his request for board action that the plat intends to establish finite lots and roadways for properties within the town for the purpose of transfer of title and lots and roads to address issues resulting from federal court action. That defines a subdivision plat per state law. It also defines a subdivision plat per Mohave County ordinances and the town of Colorado City ordinances. There is no board action that mandates this plat. It begs a few questions. So I would offer a few questions. Why normally the county would review a subdivision plat after the town has approved it, and it's in the process of being submitted for recording. So this is an out-of-sequence review. The town has not received any subdivision plats from the developer. And it also begs the question, will the county record the plat? It's an illegal subdivision plat. Will the county record the deeds from the sale of lands from an illegal subdivision plat? Furthermore, Arizona Department of Real Estate defines subdivision exactly the same manner as Mohave County does, and that they require a recorded plat of subdivision containing local government acceptance and approval. State law mandates the town has the duty to regulate subdivision within the community. Colorado City has an adopted and has had it for a long time subdivision ordinance that needs to be followed per state law. So there are many areas they're attempting to plat that don't have roads at all. Many have dirt roads. They don't necessarily have all of the utilities. Approval at this time would be tacit to approving an illegal subdivision plat at 610 acres, which would be one of the, if not the largest wildcat subdivision in the state of Arizona. So we ask that the board reject this proposal and wait for the town to ask for a recording of a subdivision plat. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Watson.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Bishop. I'm sure I'll be corrected by others with greater authority here, with knowledge, but Mohave County is not going to be a part of registering this subdivision. This was an attempt from the trust to essentially meet conformity, and that's my understanding. We will not today, the only thing today we're doing is allowing the trust to use one of our contractors to attempt to make sure that there's conformity to the subdivision. I've met with Mr. Barlow this morning. He's more than willing to sit down with the city of Colorado City to go over any items of concern. And if I can offer to table this item for a couple of weeks for you folks to sit down and meet together, I'd be more than happy to do that. But Mohave County is not making any direction to overstep the bounds of Colorado City's responsibility. And with that, I'll make a motion to table for 2 weeks so we can sit down and
I'll second that
hash it
motion.
out.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. If there's no further discussion, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this item will be tabled for 2 weeks. Going on to item number 33, accept the donation of a 1994 Cavco mobile home to be used for the Mohave Valley Fort Mohave Community Park as needed, and waive the 2015 personal property taxes in the amount of $77.55 and the upcoming 2016 personal property taxes that are due to Mohave County on the donated mobile home.
Motion for discussion?
Okay, we have a motion for discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Madam Chair, my question is, this park belongs to a nonprofit organization. It's a 22-year-old trailer. If they want to accept it, they can be donated to the nonprofit. I don't see why we'd be accepting the liability on this, because obviously we can get it and then donate it to them. I guess that's my question.
I think I'll correct something. I think the park now belongs to the county, even though it's being maintained by the nonprofit association in cooperation with the school. Am I correct about that?
Mr. Ekstrom?
That's correct.
And that part, when we accepted that park, that trailer was present. It just never, paperwork never followed along with it. And that's where they're using to store the various supplies that are necessary to take care of the park.
I thought the motion we did, I guess I could go back and read it again, but I thought the motion was just to give $250,000 to the nonprofit, because then how did we get around if we owned the park? We did it all at the same time. It was in that same agenda item that you put for backup, and we gave the $250,000, but you're saying at that time we accepted the park?
My memory was, and I could be incorrect, and we have to go back and look at the agenda item, is that we gave $250,000 to make improvements to that park because we fulfilled and they fulfilled their end of the bargain with that. And once those improvements, that money went in, to which I believe it has, that we would then take possession of the park. So I believe it's a county park now, though I'm not, we'd have to look that up to be sure.
I thought it had to come back to the board.
I don't specifically recall it either, but I believe it's a county park. We can look at the record and make a determination.
And then I'd ask it just to have it continued to the next board meeting.
Continue.
Okay. Is that a motion?
I'll move to continue this to the next board meeting.
Second.
Okay, we Okay, we have a motion to continue for 2 weeks. It's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll go on to our public hearings. Start with opening the public hearing on item number 37, discussion of possible action reference adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution 2016-118 regarding the petition to establish a 1-mile section of North Bowery Road from West Chino to West Alba Fria Drive and approximately 0.2 of a mile from West Alba Fria Drive from North Bowery to Highway 93, all located within Golden Valley of Mohave County as a county highway. Okay, I do have one person signed up to speak on this item, Mr. Randy Westall. If you'll please give us your name and address for the record, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. I'm Randy Westfall. I live at 3340 North Bowie Road, on this road that's in question. To begin with, I want to say, beyond any doubt and remove all doubt, I am vehemently opposed to this. I discussed this issue with the individual who seems to be the primary motivator on this on August 18th, and we just talked for a total of 32 minutes and 54 seconds. At which time he realized he was not going to get his way with me, and he decided he had other things to do. If you incorporate this in and make it a county highway, which he seems to want, what he's told me was that his next objective was to try to put pressure on the board to pave that particular section and then bring the rest of Bowie in and then get that paved. That sounds okay until you stop and think about it for just a second. What that's going to do is it's going to make a cutoff between Highway 93 and 68 all the way through there, turning it into nothing more than a freeway. We get about 150 to 200 cars a day going over that thing now. What that would do is increase it manifold up into the thousands of cars a day. One of the benefits of it being left like it is without converting it over to a county highway and paving it is the safety issue, and it keeps the traffic down. I can assure you that the condition of that road does an infinitely better job of keeping the traffic down and the speeds down than it will ever do by putting out even half a dozen police officers out there. So from the safety standpoint and the privacy standpoint, and keeping it all the way down to where it is right now, I say vote this thing down and forget about it. Any questions?
Supervisor Johnson has a question.
All right, it's not really a question, but the Transportation Commission, I believe, turned this down, and it's recommended to be for denial also, so it's not being pushed by the county.
I beg your pardon?
It's not being pushed by the county, if I'm correct. I think Transportation Commission turned this down.
That's not
Pardon?
true. That's not true.
Oh, did they approve this one?
They accepted it unanimously.
It was the next
Oh,
one.
I was looking at 38, I'm sorry. Never mind, okay, I got this one.
Well,
Bowie Road, this other one.
You know, it appears that the attempt here is to get that thing paved by the same concept that Johnny Cash got the Cadillac, one piece at a time. Any more?
Are there any other questions for the speaker?
Not for the speaker, but I just have a general question. When a petition comes before the Transportation Committee, how many signatures do they need?
Madam Chair, Supervisor Angus, a county highway petition requires 10 resident signatures.
10?
Correct.
Okay. And did we have any other people in opposition than the gentleman who just spoke before us? Were there any other letters of opposition to this?
Madam Chair, Supervisor Angus, recalling back from our considerations during the Transportation Commission meeting, the Commission did make it a point to involve the applicant to engage the various residents along Bowie Road to make them aware of this particular petition. And I do believe the applicant did provide some additional signatures of residents specific to the Bowie Road corridor.
Okay, that's it.
I'd like to make a comment. I have received several phone calls in opposition to this item. And what's going on in Golden Valley right now is there is a group that is proposing to develop a citizen advisory committee for Golden Valley itself to make recommendations to the Transportation Commission. And this committee is in the process of being formed through a subcommittee of the Golden Paradise Landowners Association. And they would like to have input as to what the improvements are going forward to Golden Valley. So I would think that maybe this could be tabled until this committee could get together and make recommendations based on the entire Golden Valley, not just a residential road. So.
Well, Madam Chair, well, how many groups are we going to have weighing in on these things?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
How many groups are we going to have weighing in on these things? I mean,
as far as I know, the only organized group in Golden Valley is the Golden Paradise Landowners Association.
Right. But just for this particular item, it was done in the correct manner, and it was unanimously approved by the Transportation Commission. And as far as I hear, we had one person in opposition. Is that sort of a summary of it?
Correct, Supervisor Angus.
Okay. Then that's all I have to say about that.
Okay. My support for this new advisory committee is the fact that, as you heard during the call of the public, the citizens are not happy about a county highway being approved because they didn't feel that they had input. So this is a way for them to feel like they do have input, even though we do have a transportation committee, and that's what that committee is for. We hold public hearings. Everything is done out in the open, and it's a long, drawn-out process. So my feeling is if Golden Valley is not happy with the process as it is now, if this will help them understand the process a little bit better by being more involved, I would support this new subcommittee of the Golden Valley Landowners Association, but that's not really what's on the agenda today. So we do have two other speakers that would like to speak in favor of this item, so maybe we should hear from them before I ask for a motion. Okay, Steve Robinson. Give us your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Madam Chair, Board, Steve Robinson, 3439 North Bowie Road in Golden Valley. Our fire chief, who has strongly supported this road, is also here to speak, and he just arrived late, so his form is the other one. And that's the only reason why I didn't sign up initially, because he was going to be speaking. I went out and received over 125 signatures for this petition because I wanted people to be aware of what we are trying to propose for 2 reasons. One is public safety, because the fire district main station number 11 is about 3/4 of a mile west of Bowie Road at Chino. And for the record, I do not live on this section of Bowie Road. I live south of Chino. So this is not for my own personal benefit. It's for the benefit of the citizens of the community. We were looking for a faster, safer alternative to go northbound for the fire trucks and emergency vehicles to get up to North Hermit, which is the northern end of our district. So as a member of that board, I thought this was an excellent road to have in the fire district. It's the best road going northbound between Bacobi, where our station is, and Bryce, which is the last street that hits Agua Fria before 93. Since there is a crossover at 93 to Sohai, that also speeds up the reaction time for our emergency vehicles to get over to Sohai district, so it would help the people in Sohai. There was an incident of 4 years ago this December, where a total of 3 minutes from the time our fire chief received the call that he went, fortunately, it was only about 90 seconds from the station where he arrived, and he saved a 92-year-old woman's life and the life of a 50-year-old man that went in to rescue her. So time is of the essence, and that's the biggest reason I proposed this road and why the fire board and the chief totally support this idea. Thank you very much, and if you have any questions about the process or about the roads and the signatures I gathered, the last 15 of which, or 14 of which, were gathered in 1 hour on half of that road, because I was requested by the Transportation Commission to get more signatures of people on the road itself. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jack Yeager.
Hi, Jack Yeager, 749 South Egar Road, Fire Chief, Golden Valley Fire. Madam Chairman, Board of Supervisors, thanks for having me here today. I fully do support this project. As far as Golden Valley Fire and the public safety side, we're always looking for the safest routes to send our personnel, safest is quickest, shortest routes to get to any incident, and then also as secondary routes. In our planning, to get to the north end of our district is always the most difficult because a lot of the roads aren't passable to our big fire trucks. So we have to take our alternative routes. This project supports us. We do have a fire station right there, so this is a good, quick secondary access to the north end of our district, as well as it could be a primary if we had an accident at Highway 68. This allows us another route to come on to 93 to get to Highway 68. So the Golden Valley Fire District does support this project, and hopefully you support it as well. Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question. There's another petition that's coming forth by another citizen to declare Bryce Road to Agua Fria as a county highway. Which one of those roads would be the better of the two, in your opinion?
I'm not a road engineer by any means, but some of those roads on the north end, and I apologize, I can't remember which one, has a major wash running through it. It's impassable now, so we actually have to go around and come back to a couple houses that are on that road. So without looking at a map, I apologize, I'm not prepared to answer that question fully.
Bryce and Bowie, they're just
Currently
one
passable
block
right
away
now.
and run the same direction?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. Those roads all run north and south through there.
Okay, which one of those roads would be the most beneficial to the fire department, not looking at engineering or any of the washes?
The one that is currently proposed.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for the chief? Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Lukowski, do you have anything you want to add?
Madam Chair, I am available for any questions from the board. The staff did submit the county engineer's report for both roads. There are technically two roads under consideration, both Bowie and Agua Fria. So I'm here for questions.
I guess my question would be the same one that I gave to the fire chief. If given both of these roads, I mean, they're both being recommended to be declared county highways and eventually be paved, do you have, what is your recommendation as to which one would be the better of the two if we were going to approve just one of those? Because they're only a block away, so I'm thinking that probably only one of these will get approved for now.
Madam Chair, the Transportation Commission did look at that in that very light as well, and actually continued the Bryce petition until their next meeting in October. With regard to both sections of unsurfaced roadways, both present certain challenges for road maintenance due to ongoing water and drainage. We see some particularly sandy conditions, especially on Bryce Road, that prove particularly challenging. This particular roadway, I'll speak on the Bowie to Agua Fria corridor. It's 1.2 miles in length, And the comparative distance on State Route 68 to 93, if traffic were to stay on that route, is about 3.5 miles. So not seeing a substantial travel distance savings when you compare the Bowie to Agua Fria corridor relative to the high-speed US 93 to 68 corridor. So the chances of this corridor pulling off of substantial through traffic, not really seeing it because the travel distance savings just isn't quite there with regard to the travel speed that can be sustained through US 93 and then the interchange to State Route 68.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one. Just to clarify your comments, then, make sure I'm understanding correctly. Bowie is probably, in your view, the best of the two roads as comparison to Bryce to take into the system.
Madam Chair, Supervisor Moss, I would see that. I would namely yield to the local road users. So I do see this as a roadway corridor that would be serving really the extreme eastern Golden Valley area and the opinion of the chief as it relates to access.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hendricks.
Madam Chairman, I just wanted to make a clarification that in a lot of the instances, when we bring a road forward to ask the board to consider declaring it a county highway, generally there's a project contemplated or a need identified, and roads can be, like's been discussed ad nauseum, either be declared by the board through petition or by recommendation through the county engineer. I just wanted to make sure that the people were aware that there is no project contemplated at this time for any of these two roads, and if the board declares either of these two roads a county highway, now you're looking at just the one road. It doesn't mean that there would be any projects considered in the near future for this particular road. So I just wanted to make clear and not establish any false expectations by the people wanting the road declared a county highway.
So in summary, what you're saying is even if we do declare this a county highway, it may be years before you see any improvements such as actual hardtop surfacing.
That's correct, and just by declaring the road a county highway doesn't mean that there's going to ever be any improvements on their particular roadway. And I think just to address one of the examples that was given previously about a group of people getting together and discussing priorities out there in the valley, just by declaring this road a county highway won't negate them being able to do so and to provide some recommendations to the Transportation Commission at some time in the future.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me close the public hearing and then entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve item 37.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Going on to item number 38. This will be under the regular agenda. Discussion and possible action, adoption of the Mohave County Ordinance number 2016-06. Excuse me, I promised Supervisor Moss would take a 5-minute break, so we will convene in 11:05.
11:05.
We'll reconvene the meeting now and go on to item number 38 under the regular agenda. Discussion of possible action, readoption of the Mohave County Ordinance 2016-06, amendment to the Mohave County zoning ordinance to include Section 37X agricultural exemptions for properties that meet Arizona Revised Statutes 11812A and 11865A1, as requested by the Board of Supervisors at the January 19, 2016 meeting. Okay. I'll entertain a motion for discussion or just a motion.
I make a motion to approve item 38.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
The only discussion is the denial?
No, I'm sorry.
This is
No. Let's see, no, this is for adoption. I make a motion for the adoption of Mohave County Ordinance Number 2016-06, amendment to the Mohave County zoning ordinance to include Section 36.X agricultural exemptions.
Okay, we have a motion that was seconded by you, Supervisor Moss.
It was.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion, I'll vote yes. Motion passes 3-2. Going on to item number 39, discussion on possible action, readoption of the Mohave County Ordinance Number 2016-07. It's amendment to the Mohave County zoning ordinance to include Section 37Y exemption permit in order to reduce unnecessary regulatory burdens for property owners, allow the construction of non-habitable residential accessory structures with wall heights of 10 feet or less on properties of 5 continuous acres in size or larger, and with setbacks from all property lines of 30 feet or more without a building permit after receiving an exemption permit and signing a release of liability waiver as requested by the Planning and Zoning Commission at their March 9th meeting. Okay.
I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve, seconded by Supervisor Watson,
Supervisor Johnson.
or Supervisor Johnson, I'm sorry. If there's no further discussion, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's not public. Okay, it's not a public hearing, but I'll go ahead and take the vote, and then if you want to speak, I'll go ahead and allow you to speak. Okay. All those in favor again?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And we do have 2 people that would like to speak on this item. If you still want to speak, Mr. George Sullenberger. If you give us your name and address, you have 3 minutes, and this will be on the record.
Madam Chairman, Board, thank you for your time. My name is George Sullenberger. I live on Castle Butte Road, 5 miles out from Yucca. This is not a public hearing. I'm in the wrong place, but I'm trying to get particulars about what this change really entails. What are the particulars, the details on the exemption permit? How does it differ from the existing or the previous? Are cargo containers and tractor trailers permitted? I'm just trying to be informed, and there was no information offered except that there was a meeting here at 9:30 this morning, and I came.
Okay, I can tell you that there's been many meetings held on this, and there's been public forums and meetings and everything, and if you can get with the Public Works, Chris Ballard will be able to give you a summary, and this probably would not be the time and place to go into details on it, but it's all on our website, and you're welcome to speak to our Public Works people.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Jennifer Jones, do you still want to speak? Give us your name and address for the record.
Jennifer Jones, La Posa North LTVA Quartzsite, future resident of Summerland Farm in Golden Valley. I'd like to say that this is something the board almost got right. And I do realize that it was passed unanimously from Planning and Zoning, but People in municipal boards don't always have a legal mind. I say that having served on the Quartzsite Planning and Zoning Board and the Quartzsite Personnel Board. See, the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution provides for equal treatment under the law. And my issue is only with the phrase about the 5 acres. People move outside of the incorporated municipalities so that they can have the freedom to do what they feel is right on their own property, because ultimately, if you don't own your own property, the government does. And, you know, people have some misunderstandings about this. So I'm not really concerned with people who want to live in Kingman or Bullhead or, you know, Lake Havasu City. But when you move to the unincorporated areas and you have, say, a 4.9 acre parcel, you should be given the same amount of equity that someone on a 5 acre parcel has. And I say that understanding that there is some historical precedent for the number of acres being 5. However, I think that anyone in the unincorporated area who can meet the 30-foot setback should be given the same equity under the law as someone who has 5 acres or more. So what I'm saying is you wouldn't see somebody putting up a livestock barn on a 1/4 acre parcel in Birdland. But if you have 3 or 4 acres in Golden Valley or Colorado City or someplace where you have some chickens and some livestock and maybe a garden, that you shouldn't have to get government permission to build a greenhouse, which since, you know, you've managed to put the information online, I've been doing some research on it, looking it up. So I think that the issue for me is the 5 acres or less, and I'm certainly going to investigate the possibility that it would be very easy to rally these 6,628 people who voted for me in the last election to see if they'd like to run a referendum on this to strike that 5 acres from the ordinance, and whether or not that would be viable, because I think that everyone in the unincorporated areas should be given the same benefit in order to meet the 30-foot setback requirement and put up a greenhouse or a garden shed or something like that without having to apply for the building permit, as long as they waive the exemption. Because ultimately, if you accept the liability and your homeowner's insurance is great with not covering it, you should be treated equally under the law. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on now to item number 40. Discussion of possible action, Ray, adoption of the Board of Supervisors Resolution number 2016-104, which declare that the Mohave County Board of Supervisors will consider entering into a law enforcement service contract with the town of Colorado City with adequate remuneration for the town of Colorado City if supported and recommended by the Mohave County Sheriff's Office.
There's no discussion. Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion for discussion.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Supervisor Johnson, you have the floor.
All no is if there was no discussion, I said motion to approve.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And that's the motion I seconded, so we're done.
You have
So,
no one
wait.
signed up for it?
We do have one person that is signed up for it, so Mayor from Colorado City, are you still here? Come on down. Joseph Allred. So we do have a motion on the floor that has been seconded.
Been seconded and voted on, I believe.
Madam Chair, I also have a letter for the board, if I might, on this item.
Thank you.
I apologize for the late delivery of a letter to you, inasmuch as the town of Colorado City has not been informed of this particular line item on the agenda until we happen to see it on the agenda. This is a consideration by Mohave County to enter into a proposed law enforcement services contract with the town of Colorado City. And I'm a little bit surprised that the town of Colorado City has not been even informed of this proposed agreement, and the town has not entered into any discussions, of course, with the county on this. And I will say that this proposal to enter into this agreement stems from a lawsuit that is ongoing right now between the United States Department of Justice and the town of Colorado City, in which the DOJ is seeking for disbandment of the Colorado City's Marshal's Office. And I think that to take action on this particular item at this time is premature, and I think that the federal court ought to rule on the matter prior to the county taking action on this. And I do have some concerns in briefly flipping through the agreement. Like I say, the town has not even been approached on this agreement, but there is a lack of 24-hour coverage. The dollar amounts that are proposed are far beyond the town's ability to pay for services. There's no remedy for the town regarding a lack of enforcement by the county, or performance by the county rather, and the Colorado City would be subsidizing the cost of Mohave County putting an officer in the Colorado City area, which is a service they should already be providing. And I would just recommend that the board table this item until Colorado City can be allowed to give some input on it, and until the federal court rules on whether the Colorado City Marshal's Office will even be disbanded or not, which I believe is a remote possibility at this point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the board has already voted on this item, but I did allow you to speak anyway, even though it's not a public hearing. Supervisor Watson, did you have something to add?
I was just going to say, if you were going to take the possibility of a revote on that, but if you've already voted, that's your declare, then that's fine.
Okay, I also have a request to speak from Matt Smith. So let's hear what our county attorney has to say on this item.
Good morning, everyone. Madam Chair, Supervisors, our Clerk of the Board, Jenny Anderson, Mr. Ekstrom, Mr. Hendricks. This item that you are being asked to consider was an item drafted by James Shotman, Special Counsel for the Sheriff's Office. And this item is not, at this time, in front of you for you to vote on whether or not we have to provide law enforcement or whether or not the Colorado City Marshal's Office is going to be disbanded. This is just to get it on your radar to start thinking about it, because as the mayor from Colorado City, Mr. Allred, said, we don't know what's going to happen. But what we do know is that the Department of Justice in their lawsuit did get a jury verdict finding against the town for discrimination against its non-FLDS members. And more importantly for this issue, the jury actually found that the police department had violated the civil rights of some of the citizens and had discriminated against non-FLDS members. Based on that, and I think the cat is definitely out of the bag at this point, the DOJ, who has had meetings with us so that we're aware of what's going on, is seeking to try to get the federal court, the federal district court judge, to in fact possibly disband the Colorado City Marshal's Office. We don't know if that's going to be successful or not. If it's not, this is a moot point. If it is in fact successful, then there needs to be law enforcement, there needs to be protection for the citizens of Colorado City. So that is why this item has been drafted at this particular time. The one thing that I think is interesting that I will just briefly comment on is that ordinarily, like for example, you as the board, if you had a department, including our sheriff's office, for example, that was found in court to have discriminated against citizens, then not only would the board be concerned, but my office would be concerned if it was my employees, the sheriff's office. People would be getting terminated. People would lose their jobs over this. What's interesting is that nothing has happened to any of these law enforcement officers. Now, you would think that the town would be worried about liability going forward, and if their officers were found to have violated in this way, that they would do something about it, but they haven't, once again. So it is an ongoing concern. There is a liability issue for the city, but that's probably something that could be addressed at another time. So in any event, if anybody has any questions about it, I'm certainly free to answer them. And of course, James Schottman, who actually put the proposal and the 48 pages of backup materials together for your consideration.
I have a question, Madam Chair, or more of a comment.
Supervisor
Because I
Moss.
think this is being missed by the mayor of Colorado City. The resolution and the motion passed just says the Board of Supervisors will consider entering into it if the sheriff approves it and if we go through these negotiations. And depending on what happens with the DOG, we're just laying the groundwork for what might happen in the future. If you want to put it in legal terms, we're preparing our due diligence. So we haven't done anything really except to say that we are prepared to step up if we need to.
That's absolutely correct. And of course, any negotiations would obviously include the town itself, and they would have the right to try to figure out how they're going to do this and how they're going to contract and who's going to pay what, and all those details that were mentioned by the mayor would have to be worked out.
Madam Chair, and I think to add to that, I think it just shows our interest, because it's still up to the judge, where it could be the DPS or any other law enforcement agency could be put in there. So. And I appreciate all the work the Sheriff's Department and the county attorneys have done in this. Step forward and bring it to our attention.
That's correct. Our main concern at this time is to make sure that there's ongoing services provided. So the judge, who I have no control over, obviously, if he ends up disbanding the marshal's office, which may or may not happen, there needs to be law enforcement up in that area. So.
Yeah, I want to thank you again for all the work that you've done. This is not a new issue, and for thinking forward and laying the groundwork. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, going on to item number 42, discussion of possible action, Ray, recommend the use of the interest rate provisions in ARS 42-18125 to refund subsequent tax payments remitted after the expiration of the tax lien with interest to the lien holder.
Madam Chair, I move to approve item 42.
Second the motion.
A motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Going on to item number 43, discussion of possible action, Ray, accept Kenneth C. Fielder's resignation as the Mohave County Assessor and appoint Jeannie Kinch as the Mohave County Assessor.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion to approve. It's been seconded. Any further discussion?
I have discussion, Madam Chair.
Supervisor Johnson.
Madam Chair, this board decided unanimously to appoint Mr. Fielder to fulfill the entire term of the assessor who passed away. And that was, and we made a deal with him. We made a monetary deal with him at that time also. We also have a similar situation sitting in the recorder's office, where we have somebody who's actually working for the person who will be their boss. And I think that, and we all run for office, we all get sworn into office on, well, when you get sworn in, you take office January 1st, and I believe that that's the way it should be. We had an agreement with Mr. Fielder, he agreed to it, we should stick to that agreement.
Madam Chair, if I could?
Yes.
I understand what Supervisor Johnson is saying, and I agree with it in large part, except my view is that the voters have now spoken, and we put forward our judgment a few months ago as to who should be the assessor. Now the voters have told us their judgment, and I'd like to see the will of the voters put into place as soon as possible, as opposed to putting it off. I don't want to the board substituting its opinion for the voters' opinion, even for a short duration.
I think, Madam Chair, though, the voters said that'll be January 1st when we ran. We have Mr. Schuster sitting down here in the office, who's the sheriff-elect. I'm sure he wants to get into the sheriff's office. And it has nothing against Ms. Kinch. I'm just saying that we're starting setting precedents here. We've had to appoint 2 people in already. I just think that we follow the way it's been going. And I'm not sure that it's, if you're going to do that today, that it's been agendized correctly, because I just don't know if that's the correct way.
I have a question of Alan Temperate. Is Alan in the audience from anyone from the voters? Okay, my question is, I believe the law states that there can be a write-in candidate 40 days prior to the general election, and I don't believe that we're at that point of the 40 days prior to, so I wanted Alan to clarify that for me, but I think there can still be a write-in candidate up to, I
It
think
was 75 days, wasn't it?
I think it's the 29th of this month, there could still be a write-in candidate for any office.
I thought it was 75 days before the election, but I could be wrong about that.
Madam Chair? You know, I understand all of this. We have done it before. We have sworn in someone after the election to an open spot. And, you know, it seems to me that since we gave Mr. Fielder the office of the assessor, that now he does have the right to make this kind of suggestion. This is what he wants. He's the assessor. And I think we should abide by that.
Madam Chair, if I can add to that, unlike the Sheriff's Department and unlike the Recorder's Office, Mr. Fielder has submitted his resignation. So there's a distinguishing thing there. We have a appointed assessor who doesn't want to be the appointed assessor. He wants the elected assessor to be the assessor, which I think speaks very highly of Mr. Fielder.
Okay, could we hear from Mr. Fielder?
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes.
So
Chairman
I know
Bishop?
that you've tendered your resignation, but can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes.
Is that what you actually want, or is that what you think is the right thing to do, or convenience, or whatever?
Chairman Bishop and fellow board members, and Mr. Johnson in particular, I do appreciate the opportunity that you gave me to serve as the interim assessor, and I certainly am willing to serve out the term. I think it's in the best interest of our department and the county to go ahead and make this transition, because I've spoken with Ms. Kinch, who the electors overwhelmingly voted for. She's asked me to stay on with your approval as the chief deputy, which I'm desirous of doing. We have several, we're like any other department, we have several activities going on right now. We have some vacancies to fill. We're contracting and planning for the new initiative, Pictometry. We're finalizing our 2018 values, and I just think it's in the best interest of our department and the county if Ms. Kinch is involved in those decisions and buys those decisions. I think it will also help our staff to take away some of the uncertainty. If I continue to serve as your assessor through December and I make some of these decisions on my own, I think the staff has I think the staff would be asking themselves, is it going to stick? Is it going to be changed? So I just think it's in all of our best interest to accept my resignation. Hopefully you'll reappoint me as the chief deputy, but that you accept my resignation and accept Ms. Kinch, who was elected by the electorate. I realize that there's a write-in, but it's impossible, in my opinion, to win a write-in vote against an elected official. Do you have any questions for me? It's not my intention to walk away today. I mean, if you don't hire me back, I will. But I enjoy the county. I've enjoyed my work here. I think I'm well qualified, and I will serve you in any capacity or not serve you at your pleasure.
Okay, Supervisor Watson.
Thank you. Mr. Fielder, I just wanted to say thank you for all the years of service that you've given Mohave County.
Thank you.
One of the most outstanding associates with Mohave County that I know.
Well,
I really
thank you, sir.
appreciate that. I just want to make sure that you're doing this and you feel comfortable about it. You say you were comfortable, so.
Yes, I think it's in the best interest of all of us.
Then, in that case, then I'll feel comfortable to accept your resignation, and thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I guess the other question I would have then is you're accepting if it's voted on to accept his resignation, we then have no assessor.
That's
I
true.
think it says appoint Jeannie Kench as the Mohave County Assessor.
My resignation was conditioned on the fact that you accepted and appoint Jeannie Kench.
I think we're getting into two different things here. I know this has gone through the county attorney's office, but there is a procedure that has to be, you know, the board has to vote on something to say how, like we did last time when we said, what does the board want to do? And then Mr. Moss said, well, let's wait till after the election, but it was too far away, so the board decided to appoint Mr. Fielder.
Madam Chair?
If we were to table this for, until at least the next board meeting, then the deadline for the write-in candidate would be passed, and I'd feel better about it myself. Supervisor Angus?
Well, I'm just saying that there was a reason that I believe this agenda item was written as it was, because you don't want Mr. Fielder to be out in limbo. He would resign if we swore in the new assessor. They go hand in hand, and that's what it says here.
Well, we don't swear in the assessor. The assessor signs a form when they decide to take the last office. What we do would be appoint him to fulfill the term, just like he did, of Mr. Nicholson. So that's where I think the problem's coming in. We have a process to do, and I'm not saying, I mean, obviously, Ms. Kench is the one that won the election, so if we said, hey, we're looking for, what's the board want to do? We go, well, it's obvious we put her in. I think that should have been a separate an item on the agenda.
Mr. Ekstrom, is this agenda item correct? Is it as it's stated here? I mean, it got through the legal process.
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Angus, we reviewed this and just decided that this was the most efficient way of doing it.
Thank you.
And there's no policy, I mean, the board can have whatever policy it wants regarding filling vacancies. You just have to fill them.
Right. And we did it again with the constable, when Jean Bishop stepped down, and we swore in, appointed the person who was elected, Ray Cullison, before the January 1st date.
I don't think there was a question of the probability or the possibility that a write-in candidate could come forward, and, you know, write-in candidates, we don't believe ever are successful, but they could be. So,
Did we find out that time, that date?
It is September 29. I looked it
Oh,
up
okay.
while we were
So
talking.
I would recommend that we table this at least until after the deadline for a write-in candidate.
My view is that even if there was a write-in candidate, I would be appointing Jeannie Kench, because one, I think she followed the voter-approved process, and two, I think that we should accept Mr. Fielder's assertion that would ease the uncertainty within the assessor's office. I mean, he's the expert in that area right now, the best expert we have. So it's...
So I have a question then, if we do have a write-in candidate and that candidate runs an effective campaign and wins the election.
Then Jeannie Kench won't be the assessor on January 2nd.
So do we want to appoint someone that, I mean, she's going to win. I mean, the odds are there, but I would still prefer to table it until after that deadline, so.
I would just, Madam Chair, caution the board on a precedent that we might be setting. And once again, this has nothing to do with personalities, or obviously I voted for Mr. Fielder to be the assessor. It has nothing to do with that. It's just a precedent that we might be setting in the state. And I realize our county attorneys have looked at this and said that they think you can put somebody's resignation, somebody's appointment to fill that position, and also the hiring of a chief deputy on the same agenda item. But I think statewide, there could be a problem. If you did it to 2 weeks to give the chairman her chance to get past the write-in, you obviously have the votes, and just seek some further clarification from, I don't know, the Attorney General's office or somebody. I just hate to see us get into a problem with what we're doing.
If it was tabled for 2 weeks, we could have two separate agenda items, one to accept the resignation and one to appoint. I would be good with that.
I'll withdraw my motion.
What? Say that again? I didn't hear that.
Supervisor Watson has withdrawn his motion.
I don't think I'm withdrawing my second, though. I prefer to vote on this. I think it's the appropriate thing to do. We've heard from the professionals, we've heard from the voters, and yes, we can make up hypotheticals as to why we shouldn't appoint her because of potential write-in candidates or this, that, and the other thing. But we can create hypotheticals on every single issue as to why we shouldn't vote for something, and I just think we need to get this done.
Okay, I'll reinstate.
And I'll reinstate my second.
It doesn't mean that I'm going to stand to do this to any other elected official.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
This is being moved by the resignation of Mr. Fielder and his long association with Mohave County. That is my deciding factor. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
And I'll be opposed to that, so it passes 3-2. Okay, going on to item number 44, discussion and possible action. Ray, approve the hiring of Ken Fielder as the Chief Deputy Assessor, Range A, $80,000 annually.
So moved.
Second.
I'll yield my second to Supervisor Angus.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. I'll approve. Okay, going on to item number 45, discussion of possible action, Ray, in order to search for a potential additional water supply resource and to mitigate existing groundwater budget deficits in the Mohave County major groundwater aquifers located within the Northwest Basin planning area of the Arizona Water Initiative, direct staff to assess the feasibility of identifying properties potentially suitable for future siting of groundwater recharge facilities, and to request assistance from the Bureau of Land Management for identifying such properties. We do have one person that is signed up to speak on this item, Jennifer Jones. Give us your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Jennifer Jones, La Posa North LTV at Quartzsite. I just want to say that I attended the ADWR meeting, and I would like to thank Chairman Bishop and Supervisor Moss for being the only 2 elected officials who showed up for that meeting. The information provided by Supervisor Moss was very helpful, and I do appreciate his area of expertise in the possible mitigation of the problems with the aquifer. I think that without protecting the water supply, any talk of economic development and expansion essentially becomes moot, because if there's no water, there's no growth. Other counties are looking at similar issues. The legislature has failed to come up with any viable alternatives. By their own admission at the clean elections debate, Mr. Mosley said he was in favor of agriculture. Mr. Borelli said that water law was just too complicated for him to deal with. And Ms. Cobb said that she really didn't know anything about ag, water, or land before being assigned to the committee, and she's playing catch-up. And she did co-sponsor a bill that she, by her own admission here in front of this board, said was fraught with issues that made it something that wouldn't pass, and I think that was a mistake. The legislature is not likely to solve this problem for us and for the people of both Mohave and La Paz counties, which are considered equally at risk by ADWR with the depletion of their aquifer. And so I think that it is imperative that the county look at any strategy that might be viable in mitigating the lack of recharge and also in any studies that might be able to give us better data from which to work on, because, as I said previously, everyone should have the right to know that they will have enough water for themselves and their children to grow their own food on their own property, or that their well won't start going down so much that they can't afford to drill down to the aquifer. That being said, I still and always will oppose an AMA and active management area, because I think that's a complete overreach that's unnecessary. It's unfortunate that the only 2 tools, so to speak, in the toolbox of ADWR are an irrigation non-expansion area and an AMA. But an AMA is too much, so I applaud the board on investigating any possible actions that they might be able to take at a county level to curb the rampant expansion of agriculture in the middle of the desert, where it really, truly doesn't belong on a commercial scale. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I have a question. I thought, maybe I just made this up, but Supervisor and I, Moss and I, we had this discussion at a previous board meeting about working with BLM, and I brought up the fact that we tried this before and BLM didn't want to do anything. And I thought we'd moved ahead where we'd given direction, or the Public Works was looking into this. Or,
when it comes to my last recollection, and I freely admit that my head is not screwed on 100% straight today. I've been a little sick recently, but that we had approved roughly a half dozen CSA agenda items. That was most regarding water, 1 regarding surface water, 4 or 5 regarding groundwater. This particular agenda item, I don't think we've ever actually given staff instruction on. We've discussed it as being one of the tools we could potentially use, but we never actually moved forward on it. This is the outgrowth of Supervisor Bishop's and I's attendance at the governor's policy-making meetings, or public comment meetings that ADWR is hosting. And one of the things that did come up, again, and which is why we need to, I think, actually instruct staff to start working on it, is that a lot of the water that comes off the mountains in the rain flows into clay areas, and it's not taken into our aquifers, it just evaporates away. And so, but there are potential areas north and outside of the clay areas where we have the possibility of building retention basins, which will then allow the water to seep into the aquifers and will mitigate the loss. And these are particularly important to the Kingman vicinity, because that's the aquifers we're talking about, the basins we're talking about. What can be done and the percentage of recharge that can be obtained is not known. It will be very small, 1%. If you say the whole problem is 100%, this may only be 1 or 2% of the solution, but this is a problem where you're never going to find a 100% solution. The problem is going to be many, many, many small solutions added together to preserve Kingman's water supplies, and this is just investigating one, and there'll be doubtless others. I think we need to be doing more, for example, with the effluent that Kingman is producing in order to get that treated and recharged into the aquifer also, because that would be another couple percentage points, and just adding on from there and slowing the rate of loss. But this is the one that came up. I can't take credit for this. I know the board as a whole have discussed it. I know Supervisor Bishop and I have discussed it. I know members of the public have brought it out there, and it seemed like it was ripe since there was about 100 people in that room, and there was a lot of support to move this forward.
maybe then if we can expand this, Madam Chair, if Supervisor Moss wants to. My mind was triggered, and I think we were talking about retention basins for flooding. That's because that's what I had down in that area. So if we could do it for that, because we have, especially in any place around a big city with a lot of population, Mohave Valley and the rest of them, if BLM is willing to, and it might take a letter from the chairman to say we'd like to put, negotiate with you or have a meeting with our people, to do those retention basins to stop the flooding. At the same time, it percolates back into the aquifers. It gives a dual purpose.
And I believe that's the intention, is that there's a lot of areas where we could use flood control monies because it's flood waters. It's waters off the river, or not the river, the mountains, that we could do it. And not all the areas would be BLM areas. There'd be a lot of private areas. There'd be a lot of other areas that we could use. It's just the BLM's the single biggest landowner. I don't think we're trying to restrict our Public Works Department and our Flood Control Department from speaking only to the BLM. It's just that they're the biggest representative sample that's out there.
Right. Chairman Bishop, yes, I'd like to identify Louis Vega and his investigative work several years ago in the start of this idea, and that's where this originated from. We've discussed this a number of times, and I think that kind of refurbishes your memory on that also. As far as attending the meetings with the governor's office, I was attending meetings in another aquifer.
Right.
My district is somewhat larger than most, so traveling quite a bit. So just wanted to point out that Louis Vega really is the lead person on this, and I'm sure that Director Hunt will use his advice and going forward. I know that one of the major arterials into the possibility of curing this problem is the Hackberry Wash, Truxton Wash area. And I've already discussed with the director of BLM Arizona, Mr. Sauza, and they will be excited about entertaining some of these ideas. Thank you.
And I just wanted to point out that at the meeting that Supervisor Moss and I attended, there was discussion from Louis Vega and others that the water coming in off the mountain from the Truxton and Hackberry area is then flowing down into the Red Lake area where the farms are, and there's a layer of caliche there, so this water kind of forms on the top of that caliche area and evaporates and never seeps down back into the aquifer. So I think the intent is to see if maybe it's feasible for us to do these retention basins before that water gets to the level of Red Lake and dissipates into the atmosphere.
Madam Chair, if I could, I'd like to echo Supervisor Watson's commentary. I think it was either Mr. Vega or one of the ranchers who reiterated this idea at that last meeting. And it's, you know, I do not claim to be a water expert. I think like everyone else on the board, we listen to ideas and then we put them together so we can take action and direct our professional staff to put together a competent plan.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve item 45 of the agenda, and to clarify, it's not solely limited to discussions with Bureau of Land Management, that they're just a representative sample of the landowners that we may have to talk to.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Going on to item number 46, discussion of possible action, authorize the chairman of the board to sign a letter on behalf of the Board of Supervisors to Governor Doug Ducey identifying Mohave County's top financial priorities in the state's FY 2017-2018 budget.
I move to approve item 46.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, the last item on the agenda, item number 47, discussion of possible action, authorize the law firm of Gust Rosenfield PLC to represent and defend Mohave County on a September 9, 2016 summons filed with the clerk of the Mohave County Board of Supervisors, and further approve funding in the amount not to exceed $50,000 from Fund 205 Highway User Revenue Fund contingency.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve item 47, but also to add to that item that all claims to be asserted shall include but are not limited to a potential combination action.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Entertain a motion to adjourn.